Okay. Live streaming is now on YouTube. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the new informal style of of Trash Talk Live. This is the more intimate setting, fewer people, and yeah, less arguing and name calling.
If you're here, you're one of the special people.
Yeah, that's it. For
Actually, what
people
happened is I forgot to create the Facebook event, so
yeah,
less
yeah.
people.
So for people looking at watching this in the future, yeah, we the advertising didn't work as efficiently as previously, so we might get a few people joining in. We'll put this on for as long as we can.
They're coming in. They're coming.
Yeah. Who's that trying to communicate with us in the background? Or is that a television set run?
I'm just going to mute a few folks here. Yeah.
Cool. So this is number 48 of Trash Talk Live. So if you only follow the Facebook group, you may not know that, but we are here and we're live. I'm coming from sunny Melbourne, Australia. It's a warm 29 degrees Celsius here today, Sunday afternoon. We got up to 2 hours of TRS-80 conversations and new information and anything else we've got to announce. Or if we've got nothing to announce, that's cool too. We'll just move right on to the next person. We're all busy people. If I could make sure that everyone's cell phone is set to mute and only use bad language if you absolutely have to, that would be ideal for the algorithm. So, yeah, it's been a month since the last one, and I have been, let's see, I had the big train show last week where I had five Tandy systems set up. Um, so in Melbourne, we have once a year. Craig, do you want to mute yourself? Thank you, sir. Um, we have a giant hobby show, and they consider retro computing, vintage computing, whatever you wish to call it, an emerging hobby, which it certainly is. And so they give us some tables there to display some things. Obviously, when I'm there, I have Radio Shack and Tandy computers. So this year I had a Model 2, a Model 1, my 4P, a Coco 3, and a Tandy 1000 TL2. I also had the 4P connected up to a big old fast Epson dot matrix printers, and kids were printing out banners on it that were, they must have printed a mile of paper in that whole weekend. So it really says something about mid 80s business oriented Epson printers. They just go and go and go. So that was pretty good. The Mac Museum had their Mac or the vintage Apple collection there, which was quite good to see. Matthew bought out his Apple III as well, which you don't see very often because it's so darn unreliable. But he kind of was hoping that it would hold together, and it did hold together for the whole show. Here in Australia, at least, an Apple III is a very rare machine. And there was some S100 guys there and some mini computer guys. So we had from the S100 people, we had a Cromemco System 1 and a Cromemco System ZS or something, and from the mini computer guys they had a Data General Nova, which if you ever seen one of those, uh, it's as big as a refrigerator, and that's just for the computer part. Its matching tape drive that sits next to it is equally as big. So I've been doing that. I've been continuing to write for Computes Gazette. The latest issue, the electronic version dropped a few days ago, and I think the print version is in the mail as we speak. And yeah, between number 48, Trash Talk Live, and 47, the world's gone bananas. Did anyone notice that?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Us, because I'm from Australia, and so is Mad Max, which is a movie franchise of Road Warrior movies. All the memes that have been coming up are sort of saying, does Mad Max start this month or next month? Because our fuel prices have gone through the roof as they have in most of the world. Um, but us car enthusiasts are fighting back. I think the EV crowd thought they were clever by posting a post that said, V8 owners, how are you all coping and feeling about your choices now? And kind of the responses, like, must have been thousands of them, are like, we V8 owners don't care about we didn't care about the cost of fuel when we bought the things, and we don't care about them now. We just like our V8s. So I'm certain some people will pony up the money for an EV, but I'll stick with my V8s. And one of them, fortunately, runs on propane. We call it LPG here, and it's a common conversion done in Australia. And so it runs on LPG, which is at the moment about 90 cents a litre, and it has been since before the conflict. And that's because we make it here, and it's made out of our own uh, liquefied natural gas. But all our gasoline and diesel has sort of trebled in price because we stupidly import it all. We used to refine it, but we don't. So, but what this is all getting to is that two things. It's going to make, for me and my son, Geordie, airline tickets, unless this gets resolved pretty soon, it's going to make them pretty high come October when Tandy Assembly comes around. And also, the Australian government sent a memo out to people who travel a bit like me, reminding us that if this does at some point become declared a world war, that for the most part, travel insurance will be null and void, even if we are traveling to safe places like the United States. So we got an interesting year ahead of us, don't we, Pete?
Well, I don't anticipate it becoming a world war, but I am
It did look
nervous.
it looked pretty bad a week or two ago, but I think they've kind of, I don't know. There's not an end to my mind. There's not an end in sight, but it doesn't seem to be continuing escalating day upon day. So there's hope for it. I did see a good a YouTube clip which explained, it says World War III has been postponed until further notice, which explains what's going on, and why it's probably not going to turn into WW3. But yeah,
Oh, I'm just nervously looking at my retirement accounts, but I hope there are no TRS-80s over there in Iran.
I've rarely sold anything. It's actually funny. I've only ever sold TRS-80 stuff to a vintage computer collector, and he lives in Saudi Arabia. And he did buy in a short period of time a large amount of stuff. So he must have had it for a museum or something, because he just bought a lot of stuff. But this was like a decade ago. So that's the only sort of concentration of TRS-80 things in the Middle East that I can that I can think of. I don't even though it's a Western nation, I have sold maybe, five things over 20 years to Israel. So it's there's not a big TRS-80 enthusiast base there either. So yeah. Anyway, enough of the gloom talk. Tandy Assembly, Peter.
And the assembly, what is it? It's about 6 months away now, a little over 6 months. So still on the horizon, but we are planning it. We've established a new level of sponsorship this year, the gold level of sponsorship, and we already have, I think, 5 gold sponsors. So if you really want to be strong supporter of Tandy Assembly and you want to get a free t-shirt and you want to get prominent billing and if you want to really support the community, you can become a gold sponsor this year. We have a couple of speakers kind of locked in. I'm not going to announce who they are yet, but they
It's
are
safe to
historic.
announce them. I think it's safe to announce them
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
on here. Yeah, to my mind, that it would be very unlikely that they would bail. So I think we've got them in the bag.
Okay. Well, one of them is Jerry Heap, famous Tandy engineer who was involved with the Green Thumb project and the Cocoa and a bunch of other projects at Tandy. We interviewed him once on the Trash Talk podcast years ago. So he's going to be talking about his time at Tandy. It's going to be very informal, lots of Q&A type of thing. It's sort of like what Paul Schreiber did a few years ago, who's another engineer from Tandy. So really looking forward to seeing Jerry Heap there. And Mav, you want to tell us who else is going to be speaking?
Yeah, so we've managed to. I've been trying to get this guy for a couple of years. His name's Michael Nadeau, Michael E. Nadeau, depending on um, which book or whatever. But he's a prolific writer, and so going backwards in time, he was actually the editor of Hot Cocoa magazine, which was a rival magazine for Rainbow for the color computer. So he ran that, as well as being a columnist for 80 Micro. Then when um, Eric Maloney left 80 Micro, Michael Nadeau stepped in and became the editor of 80 Micro until it finished, and then Michael went on to be a reviewer and columnist for Byte magazine, which he did a lot of announcements for new at the time things like the when the 486 processor came out and things like that. So he was very much a part of the cutting edge of computing at the time. But then, like a little bit like myself and us here, I think he got to the point where he just started to as well as his career moving forward, but he just focused backwards on the history and wanted to document it before um, we started losing it. So he wrote a very popular book about retro computing. Must have been 20 years ago. If it's not, it's close to 20 years ago now. And that was available on eBay for a very long time. And a lot of people who are sort of early in the hobby know of this book and learn what they know about early systems from him. So I did mention to him it's time for an update of the book. The hobby's grown in leaps and bounds, and people are pulling more and more weird ass systems out of attics. Pete, with your Tandy 10 and things like that. So time to update it, and I think I've given him that idea. So it will be good to talk to him because as subscribers to those magazines back in the day, they just miraculously arrived on time every month. But the behind the scenes of working on a magazine for the TRS-80, I'm certain that there'll be lots of interesting questions like what did the office look like? Was it just Model 3s and 4s as far as the eye can see, or how it all worked. So Michael Nadeau is coming along as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of others, but I'm not going to mention anything until next month. We've got to get back onto those two gentlemen.
Yep. So those are the firm ones. And we have one tech track teacher. It's going to be Jeff Burt. So he's going to be back again. Jeff always does a great technical session, focusing on the pocket computers, portable computers. This time he's going to be teaching us all about soldering and repairing computers and all the different aspects of that. So really looking forward to that.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yep. And we're
Uh,
looking for other technical teachers to sign up and offer, what you want to talk about. If you have some particular skill that you want to share with the community, the technical type of skill, please go on the website and submit the information, and we'd be happy to talk to you about holding a class at the Friday Tech Track. So,
Yeah, I've encouraged Tim Halloran to come back. He always gives a good talk, and he's said that if he can think of something, so if we can think of something that we can then ask um, Tim to think more carefully about it, we'll have another great conversation, tech track from him. And news to everyone, not specifically related to Tandy Assembly, but I asked Tim um, what we could do about Vernon, but Vernon surprisingly has moved to Oregon, which we think where he used to live. It's a heck of a long way. So I'd like to get Vernon back, but um, it's now a long way, and he's not here. And I'm sure if he's listening later, he won't mind me saying it's no spring chicken. It's a lot of
maybe you
takes.
can hitch a ride with Paul Burrell or something.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. All right, so that's the Tandy Assembly report. All right. Uh, Anything else you wanted to mention, Peter, before I move on to people?
No, that's it. That I haven't been working on anything much else.
Cool. Anyone new here? The names all look completely normal. Russell, let's see if Russell's there.
Yeah,
Hey, Russell.
he's been here before.
Yeah,
Hello, how
Dusty.
you?
Dusty, the US Dusty, not the UK Dusty.
Yeah, that was my nickname. When I first saw him on there, I thought, "Oh my gosh, how about that?" I didn't think there was another Dusty out
Yeah. Well, the Dusty from the UK is now the 20th year that he's been doing the TRS 8-bit newsletter. So he's been well, if I'm the one who's been involved with TRS-80 the longest here, then Dusty's probably the second longest. But anyway, Russell, how's things? What have you been up to?
there. Oh, not too much. I've been struggling to solve the having us a reasonable priced 3D printed case for the Model One. I've been on it I'd say I'm up to about 100 hours on it, and I haven't got a perfect print yet. But once I solve it, then obviously I can repeat it. But I'm thinking I might be able to do them for like $60, $70 once I get it solved.
That's
And
pretty
that
good. Yeah.
yeah, it'll be a brand new case.
Yep.
And then as well as the bezels. The bezels aren't too bad. I started with the hardest part, but that's because that home printers are the build plate's only 10 inches. So I had to use the Model One case in the four slices. Actually, I had to slice it even more to get without supports because supports don't leave a finish, and there's too much post processing. Anyway, I hope to solve that probably within the next week or so, and then I've already got somebody who wants one. We'll get some feedback from that, and then if anybody needs one after that, then we can do it because one's coming from China like $155.
Ouch. On
Yeah,
the bezel, are you making the six oh, what do you call them? The six tabs or tangs or the that retain it in the case. You're making them super strong.
that that was an issue with the originals for sure. Actually, I came up with a different solution. Is it's going to have threaded holes, and there'll be very tiny screws on the back there, but
That's
it, but will but it
I
will
like
fit an
that.
original
Yeah.
case. It will fit an original case though.
Right.
So
Yeah. Because you can tell I've pulled this bezel out of old TRS-80s for years and getting it out without breaking those tangs. There's always one that seems to be
well,
more
the
difficult.
problem is they put them in opposite directions. I mean, the top ones go in one direction, the bottom go in the different. The way they did it was just stupid.
Well, it was the 70s and they wanted to get it on the market, and
Yeah,
once it's snapped in, no one cares. But if you're doing a keypad upgrade or heaven
right.
forbid a keypad delete, don't ask why, but some people have got me to do that. Yeah, you have to change that bezel. Is the
Yep.
is is the case that you're doing, is it going to be printed in two pieces, the top or the bottom, or is it going to have to be done in a minimum 4 pieces?
4 pieces. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do all the post processing, but I'll get them put together, and then the person will just have to sand it, prime it, and paint it, sort of thing. But they'll all when let's say if I sent you one, it'll already just be 2 pieces when you get it.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
because I was wondering if large enough 3D printers to do the case bottom and case top in one piece have become economically feasible yet, but
Actually, there's one called the I'm trying to think of it, XL8 or so. I've got the exact same one, but I'm so tempted because it's not that expensive. It's like $1,500, but it has a 24-inch by 24-inch bed, which would print the entire bottom in one go and the top in one go. So I'm tempted to buy it. That's on my dream list for sure.
okay.
Then they have one that has a 4 foot by 4 foot bed. That was only 2,500, but that one's super finical. It has to have way too much power. It's not worth it. I mean, you could print a chair, you know.
Yeah.
But and then I throw one more thing out there. I didn't know. I ended up with just in case anybody didn't get and still might be interested. I still have 2 of the modern MX keyboards left. If anybody's
Okay, that was going to be my next question was, have you finished that, sold all of those and getting ready for the next batch, or you got 2 left before you can even think about another run of them?
Well, I already ordered all the PC boards and everything. I have everything to start another run except for the keycaps. I'm trying to figure out a way. I contacted Marcel's contact in China. Their minimum order is 100. That gets them down to like $16 each, but I'd have to buy 100. I'd rather do it in batches of 25 or 30, not 100. I don't think there's that big of a demand, you know. So I'm looking at different avenues. So I went ahead and ordered everything except for the keycaps. So I'd like to solve that. There's that EV1 printer that can actually print, perfect lettering on keycaps. But that machine is like 2,500. You know, I don't know how much I'm going to invest in it. I'm trying to solve it with what machines I have, sort of thing. But if I solve the keycap, then it'd be easy to do another run because the bezel, the shield and all that solved. And then, and I already have I got an order of 25 circuit boards from China the other day. So just need the keycaps. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Russell. Good to have you here.
Yep. Thanks. Nice talking to you.
No worries. All right, Dusty, the original OG Dusty from the UK. Hey, buddy.
Hi, everybody. You nearly caught me out this morning. It seems your 2 o'clock is 1 o'clock in the UK. We don't do our clocks until next Saturday. So that was a total confusion. I suddenly thought, I remember it happening once before. Anyway, I'm here. It's freezing outside, so I hope you enjoy your warm weather, man. Just a quick as always, thanks for everybody who sent contributions to the March edition. It was I hope you all enjoyed it. Some nice little bits in that. I've already had a couple for the June. So if anybody's got something coming along, please don't hesitate. Let me have it, and it'll be there ready. And hopefully, again, we'll publish into June. Other than that, it's not been particularly busy. I was just saying the other day to one of my pals that I don't know what I'd do if George and Peter hadn't got TRS-80 GP on the go. And with the Aculab, I just suddenly realised that everything I do on the emulator is run using the Aculab floppy tape. It's quite I know it's silly, but it's absolutely superb. Also, there's again some more Extratron stringy floppies for sale on eBay. They're quite rare, I think, now, even in the States, aren't they? They were very rare in the UK. I remember seeing one, but Aculab's every time I log on to eBay, I check if there's anything to do with Aculabs, but no, nothing at all. Other than, as I say, what we do. But other than that, it's been a super start to the year because I've been doing this for 20 years now. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Half your life.
It the regards to the Aculab stuff, it's going to be one of those things you got to watch eBay intently, but it might be once every 5 years something comes up,
Yeah.
you know, related to the stuff. For stringy floppies, they're old now. I mean, I wouldn't even trust even tapes that have been properly stored and everything. It's so thin that I wouldn't trust it to break. It's a real. Then again, some people still have luck with the things, but
Everybody should have one. They're a lot of fun.
yeah. They came in different lengths as well, which may not sound pertinent, but actually it does, because the extremely long ones, in order to accommodate that, come with extremely thin tape. So they're the first ones to go. An ESF Exatron stringy floppy system working well is a beauty to behold. It works really well. Makes a nice sound and loads things really quickly. But everyone I know that used to have them sort of said, yeah, they used it for a long time, and then all in a short period, all the tape started, giving problems and getting wound up around the capstan and things like that. So
the biggest problem in the UK, the oxide used to shed. And it was a sort of like a time bomb. They'd perhaps run for just over 18 months, and then all of a sudden, the things would just degrade, and you just couldn't record on them. And of course, one other problem, because it was an amorphous loop, if you were doing sequential access of a data file, you couldn't access sector 2 after reading sector 1, because the thing hadn't got up to the right speed. So it meant you had to recycle the tape to go straight back to 2, and that was all right on a tiny 8-foot one, but when you were sort of getting a large one, it could take a minute to recycle. So the guy who wrote the software for the UK Aculab changed the way you could format a data file. And instead of having them sequentially 1, 2, 3, they would split it. It'd be 1, 3, 2. So you knew where the sectors were, so that you could always, irrespective of the length of the number of sectors, you could always access them sequentially with only rewinding the tape once, which I thought was a brilliant idea. But that was part of this famous XBAS, which you've heard me mention before. But again, no, but we're nearly there, George, with the level 2.5, aren't we? We're getting there. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I have to think, with all of the tools that the hobby has available today, it wouldn't be that hard to reproduce those tapes.
Yeah,
probably,
they were very fine, weren't they? Yeah, about 2 mil. The actual width of the tape was 2 mil.
Yeah. But with shorter lengths, you could use, higher quality tape, and I suppose it's.
What if you could steal it from like a reel to reel? If it was the right size, it may not be able to make a full length one or something. As long as the cassette itself was still in good shape, maybe. I don't know.
You should see these tapes, Russell. You'll be amazed by one if you ever get to see one.
Stringy is a very appropriate word for it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you guys were talking about it, because I saw that one on eBay for the guy wanting $180. Then he wanted almost 200 for a box of 10 tapes or something like that. I was so tempted because I just thought it was kind of cool, right?
It is cool,
but I didn't do it. I saved it, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, Russell, I'll tell you, the tapes would have degraded. Russell, I would be very surprised if they were usable. The story in the UK was that Exatron moved their tape production facility within the States, and somehow the quality didn't move with them. and all the original, well, in the UK, this is the original wafers. They were identical to the Exatrons, but the ones with the black large circling or loading wheel worked a lot longer than the more recent ones with a light blue coloured circular wheel, and they were a nightmare. They didn't last a matter of weeks. It was such a shame, and that's really what I mean. Having said that, it sort of finished them off practically, but by that point in time, I think it'd be about 83. Disk drives were becoming cheaper, and of course, then the Model 3 and then the Model 4 came along, and then time progressed, didn't it?
Yeah, everyone remembers they were heavily advertised in magazines, like 80 micro on the back cover for a long time. So even if you've never used one, everyone pretty much knows about an ESF wafer drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that.
Very peculiar thing in the UK, for the one of the most popular computers in the UK was the BBC Micro, and some firm decided to make a similar idea, but they used 8-track cartridges. But again, I think they were too late to actually catch the market, and by that time, as I say, disk drives were becoming more affordable.
They could have also got a massive load of unused blank 8-track cartridges and players once people started putting cassette tape players in their cars. Suddenly no one wanted anymore. So that's always a thing. Something that's on my mind that I wanted to mention before we move on is our good friend Ira. On his website has a missing software section. If anyone's had a look through that, there is quite a large amount of missing software out there that we know do exist, but he hasn't been able to find copies of, or people who send him discs to archive. He's never been able to find this software. I've been doing some, heaven forbid, cleanups around my place of old boxes of cassette tapes that I have accumulated over the years. And in the last 2 months, I've found about 20 titles from all around the world, though predominantly from instant software from the United States, that he hasn't had, and I've been packaging them and sending them to him for archiving and adding to the to produce the missing software list. So I mean, it probably doesn't bear repeating, but if you've got from years and decades of collecting boxes and boxes of cassettes, take a moment to look through them. And if you're lazy like me and can't be bothered pulling out a cassette player, let's face it, cassette player on a TRS-80 is all that and less. I just package them up and send them to Ira, and he takes care of them, and it helps reduce the wanted the missing software list. George has just posted a link to it on the chat there. So yeah, take a look at it. You'll be surprised what you got that might Ira has never seen for forever and a day. So that's
and the same goes for if you have any 8-inch discs for the Model 2, send them my way.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty close in the Model 2 archive to having, we must have 90% of the software out there, but there's still a lot of, that small third-party software that we'd love to see and continue to build out the collection.
Yeah. And the Tandy 2000 is also needing its yeah, if you find T2K software, send it to Malcolm Ramey.
Yeah.
Who I'll get to in a moment. Let's see.
Just a show note, Ian. I forgot to create the Facebook event, and I created it last minute. Unfortunately, when I did, I set it to end at 11 p.m. tomorrow. So just to let everybody know, the show will not be running for 26 hours.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to.
I think it's a bad habit to get into.
It'd be like a telephone.
That's right.
Exactly. All right. David Hinz, have you been on here before? Your name doesn't ring a bell, but maybe you have been here before.
Yeah, I've been here once or twice, and I've followed on YouTube and watched, oh, probably 4 or 5 times. Um, haven't been doing too much. Um, busy working still. Maybe
That's
retiring in another month or so, but uh, my job's too exciting though. I'm working on the Artemis program, and we're supposed to launch next week. So to the moon. So yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for NASA. So it's kind of hard
I'm
to.
envious of people who have exciting jobs. That I've worked for companies in the past, and the excitingness of it is well, in my experience, few and far between. So I'm glad someone's enjoying it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But it's about time to retire though. But yeah, I've got two or three TRS-80s, and um, I've got one of the boxes from Bartlett Labs, the Mize, I think it is.
yeah,
What happened to Bartlett Labs? Do you know?
he was here last month, but he had communication problems, and he's couldn't get his microphone working. But he's still kicking around, and so when he joins us one day, I'll interrogate him.
Okay, yeah,
He,
because I
he,
haven't
he had a
seen.
big move. He moved from Colorado to
Oh, did he?
Tennessee. So yeah, everything got packed up, and I guess business was suspended for a while. But last I
Ah,
heard, he's trying to get things going again. So
oh,
Where is
good.
he now? Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So he's just a short drive, relatively speaking, to Tandy Assembly. Lots of ten.
His
I
his
don't know
website
I
is
don't know what the
was
plural of a Tennessee is. So
his website was down for a while, but it's been back up now since
Oh,
the
okay.
fall. And
Yeah, I host it. It's up, and he lives local to me now. I'm trying to talk him into coming up. We'll
Okay.
see. He's not up
Yeah,
to big drive yet.
yeah. I must have tried his website when he was in progress of moving or something.
yeah, no,
So
it's been back online for a while. But
okay.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
actually I went to the Internet Archive when it went away, and I copied everything out of there that I could get my hands on because I thought
I
I was
wasn't sure.
facing orphaned hardware. But then he
Yeah.
came back.
Okay. Yeah, but
yeah.
other than that,
Oh,
yeah.
I have no doubt that Pete will be back. Just you know, given enough time. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's a essential part of the TRS-80 community. So I hope he's
Yeah.
doing well. I thought he would. I was hoping he would be here today with us, but we didn't advertise the show. So
His Mize is still a fantastic piece of hardware. And it was the first accessory that I bought when I got back into retro computing a little over 10 years ago. And it made things so easy to get back up to speed. And it's
Yeah.
still amazing.
Yeah. Me too. That's the
yeah,
first thing I bought too. So
cool. Do you think
um,
you'll make it to Tandy Assembly, David?
I'm thinking about it, but we'll have to see how things go. So let me grab one thing here, and I was going to ask you about it. Hold on a second.
Okay. While he's doing that, I'll just mention to everyone else we're in a shiny new hotel, aren't we, Pete?
We are, yeah,
Yeah.
right near the airport.
Yep. Can't say too much more about it because neither Pete nor myself have been there to check it out. But on paper, on the website, it looks brilliant.
Very convenient
Mm.
and near Cincinnati. So should be lots more to do outside of the show.
Yep. Oh, while we're waiting on David,
There I am.
oh no, here he is.
I'm back.
Yeah, back.
Yeah. Is anybody familiar with this?
Oh, I've got that somewhere. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I have that.
So when I bought it off of eBay, I think, and I actually contacted this Craig Lindley, that's the author of this software. I just wonder if he'd be a good person to try to get to come to Tandy Assembly or something.
Did he get back to you?
Yeah, I emailed him and said, yeah, I looked him up somewhere, and he's up in someplace in Colorado, I think.
Hmm.
Anyway, he got back to me, and I don't know, we had a couple of emails back and forth, but he might be an interesting person to have.
Who is the author? What's his name? Save me pulling the software out to check myself.
Craig Lindley, Lindley.
Lindley. Okay. Yeah, now that name rings a bell. Yeah, well, if you think it sounds positive, you can forward the correspondence with Dave's permission to the Trash Talk or Tandy Assembly team, and we'll take over. We'll take over the spruiking of the show to him and talking it up. We're
Okay.
we're getting pretty good at that now, aren't we, Pete?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Thanks for that, David. Thanks for joining as always. George Phillips. Hey, mate.
Hey there.
Is the other window George desktop also yours?
Yeah, that's me. I've got a little thing to show you guys, which is something I've worked
away.
on.
Let's go for it.
Just get the screen shared from it. Let's see here. All right, it looks like it's up. So at the end of 2025, there's been this retro Christmas challenge been going on for a few years, and last year I put an entry into it. And you can see the web page here is that the idea is that you're supposed to write the smallest program you can that draws this snowflake pattern. And it's available for all retro platforms, any language. So if you want to write it in BASIC or assembly language or Perl or Erlang or whatever, there's, I think, almost literally hundreds of entries to it. So it's quite the fun little thing. And I worked on it, and I ended up writing about 10 different versions of BASIC and about 14 different versions. Eventually I got a Z80 version, which was down to 56 bytes, which wasn't the smallest, but it was a pretty tight piece of code. As it shows on the website here, you can see that there's they intentionally made it symmetrical so you could sort of take advantage of that to try and, you can print a copy of it and then just print the rotations and reflections of, say, a quarter of it. And it's got this 19 by 19 grid, which is a little bit bigger than you might like for an 8-bit machine. You'd sort of like 16 by 16, but it's not too bad because if you notice, I've got a breakdown of it here. The actual quarter part of each quadrant is 8 by 8 because it doesn't go right to the end in each of these. It's actually, stops just one pixel before on both of these columns. So you can start off by taking an 8 by 8 map, and then if you can print that out 4 times and then put in the vertical and horizontal bars, you've got your snowflake. So I'll just show you here a quick run on TRS-80 GP. For various reasons, I wrote my version for the Model 2, because all it does is it doesn't print directly to the screen. It just goes through a Y and then an X loop and actually just prints out each character at a time. You won't be able to see it because it'll happily run quite quickly here, but goes out and you can see how it produces the snowflake pattern as it's supposed to. So I'll show you the code behind that. So here, there's a little bit of strangeness, and we'll get back to this, but I start the program at 2A01, and that's one of the reasons why I use the Model 2, is on a Model 3 or other computer, you can't start a program that low because that would be in the ROM. And then this quarter part here is the, is if you look at it closely, you can see it's this 1/4 part of the snowflake just in bitmap form. So what I do to draw it is just to loop over Y and then X and draw characters. And you can see that, you might want to loop over, as it shows here, from -9 to 9, sort of the natural coordinate system in both directions. But instead, I go from -19 on D on the X on the Y loop, and E here gets loaded with -80 on X. And the reason for that is at the bottom is that if you're counting up from a negative number and you increment it, if you count from -9 to 9, then you have this sort of awkward comparison at the end where you have to say, oh, have we gotten to 9 yet? So you have to load up a 9, compare it, branch. Instead, at the bottom here, we just increment it, and then we can say, hey, if it's not 0 yet, then you haven't reached the top, keep going. So you save a few bytes that way. And the reason I go from -80 instead of -19 on this one is that if I go for a full 80 columns across trying to print the snowflake, then I don't have to print any carriage returns. And you might not think about printing a carriage return as being a big deal, but if you look down here at this star routine, which is the thing that actually prints it, it's pretty typical for any of these things that it's going to take you a few bytes to actually print something. You've got to load up the actual character to print into B, you've got to put 8 into A, and then you've got to do a restart instruction to actually print the character. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 bytes. It would cost me to print a new line, so we just take that out, just print the full 80 columns across, and we don't have to worry about that. The first thing we do is we load the HL register with quarter plus 10 minus 1, which is sort of just at the end of this bitmap here. And there's a whole bunch of different useful values we get out of that. Because what we need to do is, so we're going from -80 to -1. So what we do is we take that and we add, what is it? We add the H register to it, which happens to be, if you look at the org up here, it's at 2A, so that's what, 32, that's 42. So by adding 42 to it, now we're actually looping over. Now we've got the value from -38 to 39, so that's easy to work with. And when we add that value, if it comes out 0, it means we're right kind of in smack in the center of it. And if we're in the center of it, we're just printing that vertical bar. So we'll just jump immediately and say, okay, we're in the center. We're just going to jump down to star and just print the vertical bar. And then after that, there's this little thing here where we jump and look at the carry flag. If there was carry, it meant it was a negative number, and now it's not. And so that's okay. Otherwise, if it remains a negative number, we negate it so that we get it to the absolute value, basically, effectively, is what we're computing here. So that means that now we've got this number that's going from 1 to 9 instead of being in -1 to -9, which means that, this is where we're sort of reflecting things across the vertical axis, where X is just running in the right direction. Then once we've got that, then we're looking at the Y value. I've got this right here. And so we actually use L register, which if you look at this quarter plus 10 minus 1 that we put into HL, the L register happens to conveniently have 10 in it. So we just do the same thing with the Y value. We add to it. We do a comparison first because we're going across the 80 columns. We want to say if we're going outside -9 to 9 in the X direction, then we don't want to print anything because we're far outside the snowflake. So we do that. Otherwise, we do the same thing with the Y that we did with X. Is we offset it, and again, we use L register here instead of, because it conveniently contains 10. And since it contains 10, we can compare it. We can add that without adding an extra byte, because normally adding 10 to A is 2 bytes. Adding a register to A is just 1 byte. So we save a byte there. And again, if it's 0, then we're working on the horizontal bar. So just go ahead and print a star. Otherwise, again, we compute the absolute value of y, so it runs from 1 to 9. And if we get down to this little bit here, now HL is pointing to us our little table of 8 or 9 values, which is the quadrant of the snowflake. So A register is that absolute value of y. So we just put that into L register, which is a sort of fast and simple way to look up. So now we've actually looked up the particular row we're interested in, which might start at the very top here with 0, and then it'll eventually loop back down and again reflect over it. After that, we've got our little sort of set of bits for the row. Previously, we remembered what the absolute value of x is in A, so we just need to do a little loop here at shift, which is just keep adding A to itself, i.e. shifting it left, until we've gone the right number of x coordinates. And then this, if we get a carry bit at the end of it, it means that that bit at x comma y was set. So we should go to the location star to print a star. If not, we're going to print a blank. And here it's sort of terribly wasteful, but there wasn't seeming anything for it, is that we're just going to put this blank character into H register. That takes us a couple bytes. And then when we get to star is where we're going to actually print a blank or a star, which is in whatever is in H register at this point. We just do the Model 2 Tristos thing. Print our star or our blank and just keep looping back over the rows and columns and then finally return. I say back here, one of the classic ways you can save bytes in code is sort of to reuse things. So this HL loaded up with our table value actually serves about 3 or 4 different purposes. One is that it points at the end of our table, so we can use it to look up into the bitmap. At the same time, because we put ourselves at 2A01, we were able to use H as the centering value to make sure the snowflake is centered, which it didn't need to be, but it actually it saves a byte and it actually looks nicer, so it's a real bonus. And at the same time, we loaded L with 10, and again, we can use it a couple places here to save a byte because it happens to have that value 10. So the one thing that you might notice here is that if you follow the code, you see that HL is loaded with this table value. And if we decide we're going to print a star, we're just going to actually take whatever is in H and print that to the screen. And that works out because 2A happens to be the ASCII code for a star. And so that's why the program org statement here is so weird. Instead of orging at this particular thing, I sort of try and telegraph what's happening is that we take the ASCII value of star, multiply it by 256, add 1. So that means that H will have a star in it. So HL serves as our pointer into the bitmap, a convenient value of star, so we don't have to load that up from scratch anywhere else, a convenient centering value of 42, and finally, it's a convenient value of 10, which gives us the boundary of the snowflake and allows us to center it in the y-coordinate. So this sort of, it's the kind of thing where you write this and you do it in the straightforward way, and then you eventually try and weasel away bytes by doing various little tricks like this to get it down to 56 bytes. And I think of the Z80 versions I wrote, there was, I think, 3 or 4 different ideas I had to try and make this thing as small as possible. And for each one, I probably wrote about 3 different variants at least to try and squeeze it down into a tiny bit. So, but it's a lot of fun doing this stuff, and it's not clear that the guy is going to do it again in 2026, but I suggest you look out for it because it's a good bit of fun writing a bit of basic code, and say it's not a competition. It's just a challenge to see what you can do, how small you can make it, and pick your language. You don't even have to use retro computers if you want. So there's your dose of Z80 code for the day.
Thanks for that presentation, George. I just wonder how long before someone goes into AI and says, draw a star on the screen in ASCII characters and make it under 20 bytes. And and AI spits out the code, and I don't know.
It might be coming. The only problem right now is Z80 is a little bit more obscure. You probably get more mileage if you ask for it, like a 6502 Apple II, SNES code than the TRS-80. The AI is not familiar with it yet.
Yeah, true.
It'll be a sad day when it happens.
Thanks for that, George Phillips and George Desktop.
You're welcome.
Let's just close that window for us. Perfect. All right. Blair Robbins, how you been?
Hello. Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
I don't really have a lot of anything really new to report since the last time, but since you brought up AI, I was having a little fun with that. I was asking Chat GPT if it was familiar with Z80 source code, and it told me that it was. So I posted some old Z80 source code to it just to see the reactions. And according to Chat GPT, those of us that are into retro computing are just engineering geniuses. We were the pioneers that started computing off into what it has now become, and um, it it did a surprisingly good job in some ways of analyzing my old code in terms of generally what I was trying to accomplish. Like if I had a program that did some mathematics or my editor, I also tried feeding a big program into it that was over 1,000 lines of source code and it made it crash. But it still made a lot of mistakes, and I kind of had to lead it in a certain direction to get it to see certain things in my code. And when I asked it to generate its own code, like I said, it made a lot of mistakes. It created opcodes that did not exist in Z80. For example, like load HL with DE instead of load H with L and D with E, or push HL pop DE. But it was kind of fun. It looks like artificial intelligence is getting a little better at this, and probably eventually will be really good at it. But that was just kind of some fun that I had recently. It was really extolling the engineering geniuses of the people that developed the TRS-80 and the Apple, and then the previous mainframe systems like the IBM System 360, and how much engineers are able to accomplish with so little in terms of resources. And that just exemplifies what George was talking about, creating a program in 56 bytes that accomplishes a task. So I think that's really all I have to say for today.
Thanks for that, Blair. I'm glad something finally agrees with us all that we're brilliant in our own weird way. And
Yes, indeed.
yeah, because we don't hear it very often anymore. All right.
Yeah, no, we usually hear like we're just kind of old school and obsolete. So it is nice to get some positive feedback.
Yeah, dorks is the one that I seem to hear the most. Closely followed by nerds.
The AI LLMs are very good at kissing your ass right before they slash your throat.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks,
Yeah, they
Blair.
do have it programmed to be very complimentary and laudatory. That's true.
Yeah. Cool. Malcolm Ramy, how you doing, buddy?
Hey there. Doing good here at the Indy Classic.
Oh,
I
cool.
just saw
So-
that. Yeah, Indy's on at the moment. Yeah, I
There's
know that.
Simon. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
There's a few Tandies here represented. It's a nice show this year. New venue, much bigger, all in one room, easy to load in and out. So it's been quite the improvement these guys pulled off.
Who else is there that we would know?
Jim Brain's here, Randy
Okay.
Kindig, Probably a bunch of guys here. You know, Mowgli's here.
Of course.
Neil had to cancel for spring break reasons,
Yeah.
and so yeah, there's lots of people here.
Ah, that's good.
Cleared
Good.
out for the evening, but yeah, it's good.
over there, that's where all the previews
I saw the
Yeah, a
first
bunch standing
photos come
there.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
So.
This is Randy Kindig's thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Randy's and Simon, it's their club puts it on here in Indy.
That sounds cool. All right. Thanks for bringing us the view from the place, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show there.
All righty.
All right. We'll
Talk
talk
to
to
you
you
later.
soon. Yep. Great. All right. From the Cocoa World, Mike Rowan. Hey, mate. Mike Rowan. You're muted. All right.
Mike was here, but he left early.
Okay. All right. So he's just lurking. That's fine with me.
Oh, no, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh.
I'm on the hotel Wi-Fi, so it's terrible. I just switched over
there
to
you
my
go.
phone.
Yeah. You represent Coco's today. So of all of the people that's here with us, I guess it's only a matter of time now till Cocoa Fest. Which it is.
That hotel Wi-Fi.
Hotel Wi-Fi. I know about
Yeah,
that.
that's. I'm saving my.
Yeah. Like, all right. So you have you got any wisdom for us on Cocoa Fest or?
No, I'm not attending Cocoa Fest, but
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. That's okay. I remember now you saying that last time, and so it just slipped my mind. But how far away is it? Do you know? It's like a week or two. It's in April sometime.
yeah, I don't recall.
Okay.
I'd have to look
All
it
right.
up. Just hasn't been
24th
on my
and
radar.
25th.
What's that?
24th and 25th, Jim says.
Okay.
Jim's sitting here now.
Yep. Cool. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming to us from Indie Fest. All right. Take care, Mike. Let's see. Peter Phillips.
Hello.
Hey, mate.
Doing all right. I haven't been up to too much. A little bit of work on the emulator. I added support for the Xenix file system. I guess basically a Unix file system to the file browser, which I got slightly stalled on the problem of having to deal with paths in the browser, because it's the first file system I've run into that you can do nested directories, which none of the classic computing file systems could do. And a small fix to the hard drive emulation is that I guess those hard drives had write protect switches on it, and I hadn't actually implemented that. And someone, I guess, very familiar with LDOS, I think, ran into a problem where they'd set up a hard drive image that wasn't writable, and then when they went to run a job file, it would mess up because it would put I guess the job files get compiled, or at least they get copied to a system.jcl, and it would end up in the wrong place. So I went back and forth through the schematics to try to figure out how this worked. I thought it was complicated that somehow that I had to figure out how the chip would react if it tried to write when the drive was write protected. But it turned out that there's just some status bits in there that tell you the drive is write protected, and the operating system obeys that. And somewhat interesting, I guess, for the trivia minded, is that if you did try to write to the drive, what would happen is the chip, I don't think, would notice, like the drive controller, because when the write protect switch is on, the signal that tells the head to actually write to the disk is disabled. So it would go through and do all of the writing, and I think nothing should change on the the drive's content. That's a little bit of diving through the the schematics. I guess for the emulator usually needs to only be pretty much functionally what the original did. But when you get into the actual original, of course, there were several hard drives and several controllers, and the quality of the documentation isn't quite as good as it was for the older floppy drives and things. So anyways, that was about it. Fiddling with schematics for a while until I realized, oh, this is fairly straightforward. So that'll be the next version. It'll have hard drive write protect implemented. That's about it.
Cool. Thanks for that, Peter. Yeah, that always frustrated me. It didn't always frustrate me. It was first time I opened a hard drive and saw that there was a hardware write protect. Before we knew what to do with those wires, it was it took a 5-minute hard drive replacement that I had planned into a whole week long research and of everything. We got there in the end. And it turns out that Radio Shack didn't even need to run the wires to the hard drive itself. They could have just plugged them into various places on the controller board, and then you can just unplug the MFM hard drive and plug it back in. But that's good that it's being added to TRS-80 GP. So glad to hear it.
Yeah, I got a question for Pete. So you mentioned that you're now supporting Xenix in the file utility?
Yeah, the Xenix file system, I mean, we have the utility for it, but this would allow you to do it live. There's a problem, of course, that when Xenix is actually running, the file utility doesn't know about the cache, so it's hard. I think it might be hard to use it while the system is live, but
Interesting. So we'd be able to import and export Xenix files from the hard drive in TRS-80 GP.
yeah.
Cool.
And I guess there's another catch. I mean, right now the interface is kind of like, you can do one file at a time. Or I think you can drop multiple files on. I guess in short, it's a work in progress. So like the UI may not be like the easiest thing.
Okay. Very cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Peter. Always good to have you here. We're at the halfway mark, and you probably noticed we didn't pick a book or magazine to examine, so we'll just chalk that down to things we didn't do right this month, and we'll pick it up again in April. All right, Todd, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
What's that red thing? Is that just a monitor is it just an LCD monitor in red to your left? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Just a TRS-80, the 3D printed one, the LCD monitor.
Okay. Looks good. Looks good from here. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it run with the HDMI cable out to it from the Model 1.
Beautiful. What have you been up to?
Yeah, doing well. I wish I could have been at the Indy Classic this weekend. I'm in Illinois, so I'm relatively close. I've been to there.
You didn't know about it, or you had other?
No, I knew. Just had a conflict, so wasn't able to go. We were there a couple weekends ago. My daughter and son-in-law lived there, so we venture over there from time to time. And if it's a club weekend, I'll join over there just because it's available. So not much going on for me. Just still tinkering like that monitor and those kinds of things. So nothing spectacular.
Tinkering's good. Keeps
I'm enjoying it. The hobby's a great hobby.
Yeah, what do they say about idle hands?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right, Todd, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you can make it to Tandy Assembly.
I'm hoping to. We'll find out again what might interrupt it, but I haven't booked a hotel yet, though. I should probably do
we need
that.
tech talkers, and I know you're a tech guy. Do you want to do a tech talk?
Not for sure on that. I enjoy it, but
have you been before? Have you been before to Tandy Assembly?
Just one. Not this last time, the one before.
All right, so you know the tech talk.
Sure. And then I watched the videos last time. I watched them online, and very enjoyable.
Yeah, we're always after talented speakers, so
I don't know if
Embarrassing.
that'll be me, but we'll see.
All right, Todd, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Scott, how you doing, Scott?
Hey there.
Hey,
Getting better now that the snow is gone and it's starting to warm up. Even though that doesn't really affect the computer hobby too much. Yeah, so a couple of things I've been dabbling with. To your point on the archive, Ian, I've continued archiving a lot of my old floppies and have most of them done. Some I make second pass on that had some problems that I'm trying to reread and fix bad sectors, that kind of thing. But I had a whole big collection of this public domain software I had bought back in the day from a place I believe called Fax Plus Computing. And I think what they did is I think maybe they sent the discs to you and you would copy them yourself and then send the discs back. And of course you'd pay some kind of a fee, but I was going to check and see if any of those exist in the archives. I've never seen them, so if not, I'll get those off to Ira at some point. There's a bunch of them. There's a lot of stuff there. Probably over 20, well, probably 50 or 60 discs worth of stuff. It was a lot of stuff.
what was the company called?
Well, I believe it was called Fax Plus Computing, but
FACTS Plus, is it?
I believe so. The way I wrote it on the disc back in the day wasn't the clearest thing, but there is a disc that's like an index disc that has some info and what the contents are, and that does mention this place called Fax Plus. So I'm sure I saw that in an ad somewhere, might have been an 80 micro. I don't even know. It was so long ago, but um so I've
Sounds
got that.
fascinating already.
What's that?
Sounds fascinating already. Anything that you can't Google, it's worthwhile sending to Ira to
Yeah, and there's Model 3 and Model 4 specific stuff in that pile. So some of it's on Tristos 1.3 and some of it's on Tristos 6 formatted media, but there's that. Let's see what else. I continued messing with my thin line hard drive project, and I did with the Dave Guesswin emulator board. So last time I was on this call, I had got it working, but only emulating one drive. Well, now I figured out how to get it to emulate two drives. It turns out there's something quirky with that thin line controller. It actually has some modifications to it versus what's in the older, bigger hard drive boxes that change the drive addressing line. So in order to use it with drive 2 on the emulator, I had to change the dip switches on the emulator so that drive 2 was using drive select 2 instead of drive select 1. Like I just figured that out experimenting. Well, so that now on the Discord, there's a huge thread. I put that on there, that finding, and then Gary K, who I guess used to work for Tandy, jumped in and there was a big thread going on. I put a lot of pictures of my controller board on there and the box and everything. So if anybody's ever delving into that, there's a bunch of stuff for reference out there. This is what I mean by the thin line. That's the thin line controller. The bottom, this is the controller on the bottom, and this is the 10 meg hard drive on the top. So you'll see these 10 meg hard drives a lot on eBay, but you rarely see the controller. So last summer I was able to find a controller with a hard drive I was able to get a hold of. So the hard drives are mainly sold for the Tandy 1000, and I think Radio Shack came out with the controller board so they could support it with the older machines. But I think you see a lot of these just the drive because they were for the Tandy 1000. The other really recent breaking news is this was on the Discord too, a chat. I have a machine I bought a few years ago, and a Model 3, when I bought it because I wasn't sure, it wasn't clear from the eBay listing, but I thought it was a level 1 machine. And when I received it, it came with shipping damage, the tube was destroyed, that kind of thing. So I put a tube in it, and then it didn't work, and then it got put on a shelf. So based on this whole Discord thing, I dragged it out actually just this afternoon. So this is really breaking news. So I did confirm it's a level 1 machine with 4K. You'll see the 4K badge on it. And there's the single ROM chip in it. And those are the RAM DIMMs in it. And here's the whole motherboard. Model 3 motherboard set up for level 1.
Yeah.
Um,
That screen tearing's easy to fix.
Well, it does power up, and so if you look, it is showing a ready prompt. It's just that it's blurred, and I hit enter a couple of times, so it's showing basically scrolling ready 3 times. The horizontal is messed up, so I have to figure out how to deal with that. But
it's an inductor on the board there.
Okay.
It happens on those Model 3 era video boards. Email me directly. I'll look up the thing and tell you which one. In fact, I have never even replaced it. I've always just kept it out, and it's.
Get an echo from somewhere. Yeah, so that's actually pretty cool. I mean, it's a level 1, which, in 1982 that wasn't too exciting, but now it's kind of exciting because they're so freaking rare.
It's very exciting, and if you look underneath it, it should have a 261061 catalog number, and which is the level 1, because the 1062 is the level 2 one. And so not a large number of people, but over the years, people who have found that they've got level 1s that have been upgraded have been after the parts to return theirs back to originality. So it's good. It's good.
So when I bought it, the reason why I thought it was a level 1 is because the only manual that came with it was the level 1 manual.
Yeah.
And it didn't have disk drives in it, so I'm like looking at it like, huh.
Is that a different lid on it from when you bought it? Or the same one? Do you remember?
You mean the top part with the CRT?
Yeah, the top. Yeah, the top with the CRT in it. Is that off a
This
different?
one is the one that is in the picture I just showed is different because I swapped it from another Model 3 and I'll tell you, because like I said, when I received the thing, the picture tube had been destroyed. It was broke off the mounts inside. I bought a new picture tube for it, and this was probably in like 2018, and put a picture tube in it. Well, when I pulled it out today, that picture tube was cracked in the back, and I don't know how that happened. The only thing I can think of is when I put it back together, I might have accidentally damaged it, and then it didn't work, and I didn't realize the tube had gotten ruined by me, the second tube. So when I saw that today, I just grabbed the lid off of another Model 3 I had kicking around to see if I could at least get some kind of video out of it.
Yeah. Ask me how I know that lid's from another Model 3.
I don't know.
Put the picture back. Put the picture back up.
So this one did have drives.
Yeah.
So it's got the openings for drives, and
no one has ever seen a level 1 computer. Go back the other picture of the full machine.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, that one. All right. So no one has ever seen a level 1 that has had the paint worn away from the front edge, because they're such a useless little computer that
Well,
no
no,
one
this actually, in this picture, this is the lid that came with it.
bull. I call bull on that, but I'm prepared to be.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's what came with it when I bought it. Now, who knows what happened, what the history of it was before I had it, but
Yeah, I'd say that looks like a fairly heavily used machine. Looking at the armrest, the hand rests along the front.
yeah.
But that's good.
What could you do with a 4K level 1 Model 3?
About the only thing you could do with it that you couldn't do with a level 1 Model 1 is plug a printer in, so you could still print stuff. But really, there was no apps of any value. At least with a level 2, or what they called Model 3 Basic cassette 16K Model 3, you could load scripts it and use it for basic word processing or something. But a level 1 is the literally designed to be upgraded. And just as Mike Yetzko said to us at Tandy Assembly, everyone who owned a Model 3 who worked at Radio Shack basically bought these level 1 machines, and he was the one who, after hours would be doing the upgrades and burning the ROMs and stuff to make the machine useful. He wasn't aware of any level 1 machine that was bought and used other than unboxed, opened, and upgraded. So there you go. But yeah,
I think
that's
that was
quite a
just
it's
so
quite a
they
museum piece you got there.
that was just so they could keep a low entry level price on the Model 3 probably, so it didn't look like from the Model 1 to the 3 they had jacked the price way up or something.
Well, yeah, it keeps it below the psychological $1,000 mark at $999, and it says expand it as your needs and budget allows, which no, exactly.
So the level 1 was $999, huh? I thought it was cheaper than that. Wow.
I don't know. I'm only going off the top of my memory, but really the only yeah, but it was a long way to get to a disk system. Put it that way. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Scott. Good to have you here. Let's see. Joel. Hey, Joel. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
You doing all right? Yeah. You're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, trying to put things together. Was working on a 4P earlier, trying to mobilize the rig a little better.
Yep. You got a lot of interest in tether.
Not so much. I mean, it's like the live performance. People love the live stuff. I just don't think I don't have the means to push it as like an advertising company probably could. So it'll gain its traction as it gains its traction.
Cool. Are you going to come to Tandy Assembly? I hope you're going to come.
Oh my God! I know I've already done the sponsorship and everything, so I think it should have got it paid. I'll have to go look at my email, but I think I did. But yeah, the goal is to try to get up there.
I want to see another live performance, so hopefully we'll fit you in for sure.
What is the venue? With it being a new hotel, you think there's a spot for that? You think it'll be kind of just like the previous place?
Well, I'm guessing, as best I can tell, it's another big ass room.
Oh, cool.
For us to do whatever we want. So yeah, come and
yeah,
twice the table space.
well, hell yeah. Then I'll bring my big ass speakers for that big ass room, and let's make some music.
That'd be so cool. Yeah, and if you wanted to give us a tech talk, or
I might actually have some more stuff to tech talk now with the additions and upgrades and everything that's changed since the last time everybody saw me. So yeah, there's probably definitely some kind of tech talk that I can put together, especially at least with the audio equipment and what I'm doing. And how I'm isolating noise and the upgrades I've done power wise to kind of isolate the systems from everything else, isolate everything else from the systems, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, there's definitely lots of technical stuff to talk about, which I'm actually still going through. It's still evolving as we speak at the moment. So yeah, definitely something to probably talk about tech wise. Just got to get it all organized and put together.
That's awesome. I'll get my man Pete Satinsky to reach out to you and sign you up for a tech talk. So, you know, keep an
He
eye
knows,
out for an email from him.
he knows where to
Yeah.
reach.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of live performances, so VCF Southwest shouldn't be too far away now.
Nope, we're coming up on it pretty quick.
Yep, you're going to be there? Of course you are.
That's the goal. Oh yeah, no, I'll be there. I'll have my table. Patrick's gonna be with me. And I don't know if I'll get to play or not. I haven't heard much from him as far as on that. Nobody's reached out as far as like getting a live performance. So it may just be me sitting at a table and people getting to come look at the machines and getting a hands-on look at it, I guess, if they want. And yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make it this year, but I'll be watching the videos.
That is
and the
quite
feed.
understandable. That is a long journey for you to have to crawl all the way on the other side of this globe. So
It
that's
was fun
totally understandable.
doing it last year. I can only afford one international trip this year, and even then, it might be just being able to afford it. But yeah, no, that's cool. I'm keenly watching your down poly posts on the Discord and things. So yep, can't wait to get my copy of Tether on vinyl when they're out.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's online, and I've got the CDs set up in the store, so they're ready to go as far as sales go. I'm working on getting singles, stickers, some lighted signs put together once we get those going. Wendy's been doing crazy 3D printing stuff. She bought herself the Bamboo Labs, so
Excellent. That's so cool. All right, Joel. Good to hear from you. Thanks for
yep,
joining us.
of course.
I think that's everyone except Craig Skeels. You lucky last, Craig. How you doing?
Yeah. Well, I started out strong with, my reverb accidentally opening two windows for the meeting and having my microphone go in a nice little loop. Other than that, though, I really haven't done much. I got myself a new soldering iron. I'm readying myself to do more stuff, but it's been slow going. Haven't had a lot of time to actually work on stuff. Haven't gotten up to my storage unit. It's about 50 miles away from me, where all my TRS-80 stuff is. So, but I'm getting there.
Hey, once you thaw out from the winter, I'm sure you'll be there to pick it up and
Yeah.
start messing around with it next time.
Yeah, that's the one thing, the weather. So right now my car broke down, so getting up there is by bus and mass transit. And it's not too awful. I got up there once, grabbed some of my stuff, but I don't have a working TRS-80 right now at home. So
That's okay, Craig.
That's
No
my
worries.
next step.
Thanks for joining us anyway, like you always do. You're one of our regulars here every month. So next month, if you've got it out and doing stuff with us, we'll be keen to hear about it. I think that's everyone. But just before we go, I've got a message here from Dusty asking George to talk about Time Trek, please, or Pulse or Plus. What is it, Dusty? What are you asking? You're muted.
Sorry about that. I just saw George comment the best game in the world. What's Time Trek? I've not come across that one.
Oh, you will know of it. It's one of the popular Star Trek travel around and shoot Klingons, but don't run into the sun games. Is that what you're talking about, George?
Yeah, it actually ran in 4K and it was real time. So unlike most of the Star Trek games, if you sat there, the Klingons would fly into your quadrant or go and kill star bases and so on. And it was eventually sold by Radio Shack, but of course they had to change the the names since they weren't going to pay Paramount the licensing for Star Trek. So it was sold for Radio Shack as Space Warp. But it's a fantastic game.
Oh, right.
Real
It's
time, and it says
It's surprisingly playable still. I needed some space on a disc to fill up of games discs, and there wasn't much space, but I put that on and played it for a little bit. Thought, this is not bad considering it's freaking tiny.
and it was cool in that you could get damaged by things. So sometimes you could be playing along, and you get hit, and like the impulse drives are taken out, so you can't move around the quadrant, but you can still warp out. So you warp out, and you're sitting there slowly waiting for things to recover. At the same time, you see that star bases are sending out SOS messages, and they're getting killed. But then you can warp in there. You can't get the Klingons unless you can fire a shot very accurately and do so while motionless. But it's fantastic.
It achieved a lot. Yeah, it was a lot going on in it. So yeah, Space Warp if you want to look for it. Okay. I'm about to wrap this up unless anyone's got anything else they want to say. Put your hand up now, or yeah, Peter Phillips. Hello.
Oh, a small thing. I dipped into the catalogs, and if it's correct, in the 81 catalog, it says that the level 1 4K was a bargain at $6.99. That'd be US dollars, I would imagine.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And that would make the 16K level 2 $9.99. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I've only got Australian catalogs etched into my memory, and I think it was $9.99 for the 4K and $13.99 for the 16K. But yeah, it was only available for the first year. I think that even Radio Shack realized this actually does more harm to our brand name. If someone buys it on a whim, gets it home, and has a "what was I thinking" moment.
I know when we looked at the prices in 80 micro, and you get a 16K Model 1 Level 2, it was it $799, and it came over to England, the UK, and it was £799. At the time, the exchange rate for the dollar was $2.40. So I think Radio Shack made a bit more profit out of that one.
Or Her Majesty's Exchequer made a bid on taxing the absolute crap
There's
out.
nothing new there then, Bob.
Yeah, I know, but it wouldn't have helped that the take up of American computers in the UK was always slow going for that reason. But yeah, all right, I think we're done. So we're coming back in another month, eh, Pete?
We should. Well, yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
I think we should. All right, people. Have a good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you are. See you next time.
Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.